What would surprise race fans about your dad that they don't know?
Oh, well, he's a lot, they think when they see his black car and his Intimidator or whatever, he's a lot more family man than they might think, He's when he handles my part, he helps me through hard times and problems or whatever, and he Taylor coming along, that's a real big thing, and she's a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun, I'm telling you.
Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Intimidator, arguably one of the most famous figures in all of American sports history. In its peak, the nice NASCAR scene rivaled the popularity of any other event. Drivers like Earnhardt were household names. Today we'll hear the story of how a normal guy from Kingston, Ohio was able to bring his family in the middle of the night to Mooresville, North Carolina, and build a strong relationship with Dale Sr., his crew, and enjoy many visits until Dale's untimely death. Like this is unrehearsed. We're just going to shoot the shit. Pretend like these cameras are not here. So today we're going to hear a story that needs to be told. It's a story about a couple guys, actually one guy from Kingston that introduced his family to one of the most popular and best NASCAR drivers of all time. We're going to go through the story and just get the details, lock this thing down. And John, Miles, John, start us off with what got you into the NASCAR. Let's talk about this.
Well, it started, I got sick in my late 20s. Couldn't seem to go anywhere, I was working on tractors. I could work in my shop okay, but it seemed like when I drove to work, I would be sick and stuff. And the guys at work got that picture right here. Yeah. And I took this with me. When I met Dale for the first time, I had all this with me, and I took a photo album of the kids, Babe, and me. And as I was redoing the tractor that Dale has, I had all the pictures of that. I brought this picture with me, and he told me, he said, that's probably one of the first pictures that I have Goodwrench clothes on. And he said, what's the deal behind this picture? Well, this was in the Car and Driver. And it had Earnhardt on the John Deere and Goodwrench clothes. And the guys at work, being the nice friends that they were, they said, you ought to pick him. He ain't won a race in forever. You ain't ran a tractor pull, so you guys be a good hookup. Because I never knew anything about racing other than had no, numbers on the doors of the cars. That's all I knew. But then, I don't know, I went to school with one of my best friends. He was an Earnhardt fan, and I read everything on him. I studied everything on him. I knew his steps front and back, from that motor coach to the hauler, from the hauler to the car. And that's how it started. I had made a phone call the year before and talked to some lady down there, and she didn't have a clue in hell what I was even talking about.
So you called somebody down at DEI.
Yes.
Actually, at the time, it probably wasn't DEI. It was probably just...
DEI, it was, yes. Okay. But it was a house.
Just a block.
It was before the big DEI.
Yeah, it was a big white building farmhouse, kind of like our house at home. And I have pictures in there where his signing room is and stuff. Don, I don't remember his name. The guy was over it. And anyway, we went through that, and actually, and I'd met him like at 2 or 3 different signings, and when I told him about up there, he was really upset that he couldn't find the employee that didn't relay the message to him.
Oh, okay.
And so from that, it carried on, and
so basically you knew he had a passion for this tractor.
Yeah, for
you
John
owned
Deere's.
this tractor,
Right.
And you took it from nothing to here. I mean,
It started with here. He had John Deere's and Chevrolets.
right.
We had John Deere's and Chevrolets.
And the guys at work were making fun of me because I wasn't winning and he wasn't winning. You might as well pick this loser on the betting pool, you know, where you make money. That's actually what's behind this.
Okay.
And when we restored this tractor, Dad kept it from all of us. He didn't say a word till the day we left.
Yeah, the tractor
Till the day,
was,
nothing. We loaded it up. We borrowed my grandpa's truck and John Carroll's trailer.
but John didn't know where it was going. I told him it was going out of state.
But so you actually, they called you after you'd reached out to them and somebody says, Dale wants that tractor or wants to see it.
Yes. And he put Randy in charge.
Once we got a hold of Randy, that's when we had it.
So Randy is part of the deal.
He was the farm operator.
No, Randy's his brother. John Harris.
John Harris was
the
the one.
farm.
Yes.
Randy was Dale's brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That made the connection.
okay,
He was, his job was to call me and make sure everything was still all right on my end to get it down there. Because Dale said, if you can't get it down here, I can get something up there to bring it down. I said, no, I said, we'll be all right. Well, I had the tractor loaded up. Babe never said anything because it wasn't nothing unusual to have a tractor loaded up in the driveway. And Randy called and asked me if I was ready. And I said, yeah, everything's still on to meet for Monday.
so this was a Friday night or Saturday night?
This was Saturday.
Okay, Saturday night.
And Babe and the kids was going to bed, and I yelled up upstairs at Babe, and I said, hey, if you want to go to Earnhardt, you probably ought to get up because we're going to start driving. And she said, I bet we are. I said, yeah, we are.
How old were the kids at this time?
96. So I'd have been 9, and Amanda would have been, 11. And we rode 4 deep in a straight cab Dodge pickup.
Yeah, the old man just bought a new truck, and we took it, new Cummins.
That was a real pleasurable trip.
So you drove through the night to go to Mooresville.
The
and
fog
you get down there.
The fog in the mountains.
You were sick on the way down.
I was sick the whole way. I was so.
So you get down there Sunday morning.
Well, Dad has a lot of patience, if you don't know. So it was a quiet trip, and we got there, and we stayed. Where'd we end up staying at? I remember we pulled
out close to 77.
And when we parked, you couldn't even see the interstate, the hotel, nothing.
It was so foggy.
Yes. He was so sick. I said, I know how this is going to go. We're going to turn around and head back to Kingston.
Because, see, they had rode with me, like going to get parts and stuff like that. And I'd throwed up or went to the bathroom in every ditch that I ever drove in. Got to be that nervous and sick. And so anyway, we make it there. And I called John.
John Harris would have been the farm manager.
Yes.
A phenomenal guy.
And he was still, he hadn't even thought about going that other job yet.
Yeah.
And I wasn't supposed to meet till Monday.
Right.
I was just supposed to meet, Sunday night and then be there Monday. Well, hell, we were there. I couldn't sleep again, at the hotel room, so we got back up. The race was in Bristol. It was a March race, spring race. Mm-hmm. And we were over. DEI was still in the house part. Some of the garages was here. The Deerhead shop was there. The kids' dualies and trucks were there.
Horse barn and the Deerhead shop.
Yeah, and they were there. And we pulled my truck and tractor in there, and I was washing the tractor and cleaning it up. Well, here come the helicopter in, the red one in that book. Well, Dale, Teresa, and Taylor got off the helicopter, and I seen that. That's just right, their house lane's just right down from where the Taj Mahal's going to be built.
Okay.
And I seen them go in there. I never thought any more about it, anything, and I'm still scrubbing away on this tractor. And like I say, Babe and I had met him twice at signing things. And the kids seen him, everybody's seen him but me. I had my back to him, down on my hands and knees, wishing
The
that.
best part, I'm sitting there going, I'm smacking his leg, and I said, he's talking to John, and I said, hey, Dad. He said, what? I said, hey, Dad. He said, he looked at me and he said, God damn it. He said, you know better than this. He said, I'm talking. So I looked at him and I said, hell with it, find out yourself. Next thing you know, his pickup comes pulling in. Dale said, what's the deal here?
Yeah, he walked up right behind me. I never heard a truck shut off. I never heard a door. And he said, what's the deal here, man? I looked like that guy from Hee Haw.
Soap suds
I had
and
him
shit
soap
going
suds and
everywhere.
shit all over my hand. I was trying to smack him son bitches off to shake his hand. And we talked for a second, and he said, we'll learn about this tomorrow. He said, we need to go down to the deerhead shop and sit down for a minute. We're going to talk about this. And he still had the goggle marks in his eyes from Bristol. And I mean, I tell you what, we got in there.
Hell, he couldn't have been out of the car for what, 3 hours? I mean, it was right after the race.
Yeah, and it wouldn't took him very long in that big helicopter to get there.
No, I bet it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
I went straight to the bathroom when we got to the deerhead shop. I thought I was dying. And Dale kept asking Babe.
You were just so nervous.
Oh, yeah, I was sick. I was throwing up.
Well, the best part was we're sitting there. Dale's in the van. First time we meet him.
Yeah, not yet. He's not in the van. We're still in the
And
shop.
Dad's in there blowing the shitter up. I make 2 trips back. And I'm like, Dad, we got to go. He said, I can't get off the toilet. He said, this ain't good.
I mean, my heart was, I thought it blew my ears off. When he turned around and told me what's the deal.
Yeah.
And then
So you're going to the deer head room.
we're already there. I'm in the house. That's his. All the tools in there are his daddy's.
Personals.
You know, those was Ralph's tools in there. That's where the kids worked on their speedway cars for over North Carolina Speedway. I think that's where they were, or South Carolina, one of them. And that's where they worked on them. And hell, I couldn't. And Dale kept saying, is he going to be all right? Is he going to live? And I get out to the van, and like I say, them goggle marks are still in there. And John Harris told us when we got, he said, I don't know what you said in that first few minutes. He said, whatever it is, he said, Dale Earnhardt don't never take no one where you went. And I got out there, and there's Dale sitting there. Taylor's sitting on his lap. She's steering the van
About Mach 10.
back through the woods, and it's all paved, you know. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ! I mean, I knew we were going to hit a tree, and little Taylor, she drove that thing the whole time.
Dale never even looked.
Yeah,
at the
Dale wasn't even
direction.
looking. He was showing us.
He was pointing deers out.
Yeah, wanted us to see these deer and stuff like that. I said, hell, watch your road there for a little bit, you know. And we wound up in the center barn on the farm. And Dale had kept, that's where that toolbox was. That says Junior on, that's where it, as soon as you,
Monday. Sunday money was in there, the boat.
no, the yacht wasn't in there.
No, the bass boat.
Yeah, Sunday money was the yacht. And the Intimidator was the bass boat.
Yeah.
And who made that?
I don't know.
There was two of them, and he gave it to Neil Bonnet, I believe, because they came and asked him where it was at, and he said, hell, he said, I gave that to Neil. I don't need 2 boats. But there was a dually, had the horse trailer, a black dually, had the horse trailer hooked up at one end, and had the boat on the other end, where you go out the door. But to the right, there's cars underneath there's a place up there where they must have brought all the trophies and stuff from the house while they were building the Taj Mahal, because they tore it down, burned it down. And I looked, and there's cars. There's a few race cars in there that he won with, and IROC cars, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then the 5th championship car.
And then the horse chariot. He had a white horse chariot with red velvet leads. He had a black horse named Leroy. He said, boy, Leroy looks good when he's all dressed up. He said, we ain't got nowhere to go, though. But then I looked up, Miles and Taylor were up there, and I believe them was Charlotte trophies. They were up there whomping around.
They were everywhere. He had a drum. I don't know why. He liked, he used to get matches out everywhere you went. Had your different logos on there. He had a tub, I don't know, probably 3 foot deep.
I forgot about that.
Full of matches from different places they ate at, different, I mean, thousands and thousands of them.
So this is all happening on Monday?
No, this is on Sunday.
Oh, this is before
This all happened before, yeah.
Okay.
This was supposed to have been a short-term trip, like meet him and go.
Yep.
Like you drop the tractor off, that's the end of your stay.
There had to have been a point, like, did he offer you money for the tractor? I kind of know the story, but tell us more about that part of it.
It's whatever we wanted to do.
I think the biggest thing was that I remember as a kid when he brought up to Dad and he said, John, he said, I know you don't have any money. He said, and I know you're not here for money. He said, so, you know, he's not used to that, you know, the beggars and the people that want to be famous. Hell, we were just a couple working people from Kingston and weren't a threat to it. And I think that was what Ridley
And
started
then he
the friendship.
said, well,
That was at the end of the week when he brought up the toolbox, but I think you had gained
yeah, the
his trust.
toolbox was different dates. He came out when the
Or
gun.
That's what I
Yeah.
meant.
When he brought the gun out and set it on his desk, that's in the deer head shop.
So the gun situation happened that Sunday night?
No, happened Monday.
Okay, so Monday.
And from that time on, every time we left, he gave me a name, which they never changed. He gave me 2 people's name to call. And he said, if there's a problem that I don't hear about it, you let me know. There was never any problems at all. And Babe had made a photograph album of the kids, you know, when they little as age growing up, you know, as we
that
were,
tractor.
and he told me, he said, we can do this under a couple conditions. He said, if something ever happens to me, the tractor, you come and get this tractor. He said, because I know what it means to you and your family. He said, because every one of those pictures are with your children. Mm-hmm. He said, and this gun, maybe that gun will pacify you till you bring your tractor back home. And that was pretty much the end of talking about the gun, wasn't it?
Well, and he had stressed, he said, you sent me home last night thinking.
That's exactly, he said, you sent me home.
As much to you as that tractor.
You're exactly right.
He said, you sent me home last night. He said, I laid in bed thinking of something that I had that meant as much to me as that tractor did to you and your little boy. He said, this is the only thing I could come up with, John. And we were sitting there, and it's funny, if you put those pictures on there, you can see Dad's afraid to even lay his palms on his desk. I always loved that part. It's fingertips. Dad's leaning over looking at this while Dale's explaining this rifle. And Dale gives us the rundown on that gun, and he kept 1, 3, and 11 serial numbers, and 11's down there. But it was from that point forward, money was no object. It was friendships. Like you and I, we met years ago and still carry the same friendship. Dale was the same way, and we didn't when you were with him, it wasn't starstruck. You know, like we sat here with Spud Run Golf, like we should be pumped, you know, but it's still Old Maverick. And that's the same way Dale was. We'd go to lunch, we'd go to dinner. It didn't matter. He was, my biggest thing at the end of this, Dale Earnhardt was one of us.
Yeah.
Just growed up with nothing.
Yeah.
And
he was a badass, but I mean, he took care. It was like the mafia. You were either in or you're out. Like Babe, when we were introducing, he said, "Honey," he said, "I can't call you Babe down here." He said, "If I said that down here," he said, "What is your real name?"
And the flip side on Babe is Mom. So Mom growed up with that name. It's always been Babe. Her real name's Mary
I
Ann.
think Glennie niece gave that
And
to her.
they wouldn't, Dale refused. So he'd always say, you know, "Mary, how are you today?" Like when we would come up. But he wouldn't, that was one thing. I mean, he was very old school in his ways. You know, you take somebody that important, that level, and he's no different than you and I.
He asked her, "Which do you want, Mrs. Wright or Mary?" She said, "Neither one. Just call me Babe." He said, "I can't do that."
So did you guys come back to Kingston on Monday evening then?
No, we have to get to Monday. We're in Monday now, but we haven't said any of our goodbyes. We did the gun and everything. Met out. Everything meets out after you make it through the gate. You know.
The old gate was a lot easier than the new one.
Yes, and all the guards and stuff are all North Carolina patrolmen. And Dale was a auxiliary member of them, and there was a commercial, I believe, that he would be with a trooper, and they would pull him over for speeding, and tell him and Dale would be back there and stuff, and then he'd bring him tickets to the race, and give him tickets.
Just like he would pre-sign all that shit for Jimbo and the guys that drove the motor coach and the haulers. We were sitting there one day and he said, Jimbo rolls in, which Jimbo will come in later in this story, but he comes in with a bunch of shit to sign. Dale's sitting there. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, "Well, I'm doing Jimbo's pre-trip." He would take and sign all these different things. And then when Jimbo would head from, Mooresville to wherever they were racing at, he'd be running way over the speed limit, obviously. So when they'd pull him over, he'd do a little trading with the highway patrolman, because they pulled over Earnhardt's Prevost running 90 in a 70.
His job was maintain and keep the motor coach clean and to bring the Tahoe. While the racing's going on, he's to be with Teresa and her safety and Taylor. And he was a dude. There wasn't a hair out of place on that cat.
Curb appeal was his main deal. All right, I said we do a pause and get a beer. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Smooth operator.
Yeah.
So
after we get done in the deer head shop with the gun, there's all kinds of construction and stuff going on for the main part of DEI, the center part, Victory Lane and everything. And he asked us if we would like to take a tour of it. And, we said, yeah. He said, well, you'll be the first person that, that's not a DEI employee to come through here. And he's got a Skittles jacket on in there, taking us on the tour. And then the kids and stuff's got their picture in Victory Lane out there in the front where you can see the around. You can see it.
So they'll come up. The one picture, we're sitting there, and he comes up. And my mom is taking all the pictures, and Dale said, Mary, you better get in there with them. He said, you guys will be the first ones to get a picture in Victory Lane. And people that's been to DEI, Now, when we went back to see it open, where the circle was, that's all roped off with a championship car sitting in it. And in those pictures, you'll see us sitting there with stud walls and then the recessed concrete down. And it was neat just to say Dale took your picture in his building as the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was, and it was just like if we're sitting there and we go to your house, I'm like, Maverick, go stand in front of your house. Like that was the type of person he pushed to be.
Yeah.
But as far as finishing out the rest of that day, once we left there, we had dinner.
Yeah, and then drove home.
And then bounced out of there. And then once moving forward, it had opened a friendship where the respect was very mutual.
Yeah.
And
now when I called, like I say, there was only, one at one time I had to call, and then the job responsibility went, once it got all done, then it went to this certain lady for the rest of the time.
Because when we pulled in the first time, you passed literally a brick house, a horse barn, and then the deer head shop and stuff in the back. When we went back after we took those pictures in Victory Lane, which had been the next year, you had to pull in and everything's concrete, and this place is amazing. And we rolled in on the side. Remember them highway patrolmen sitting there, and they were all retired, but they would radio in, and Dale said, "Bring him on."
Yeah.
And they said because at the end of that deer head shop, there was an office, probably 10 by 20 or so, and it had one-way glass. And these people would try to find Dale when we were down there. They would be outside that window doing one of these numbers, and Dale, he said, shh. They couldn't see any of us because he would just go hide there. He said, those are meetings I'm supposed to be in. He said, but they don't matter too much. He said, as soon as they leave, remember the time we stole that girl's Suburban or Tahoe, went back through the woods?
Yeah.
So
everything's, when Jeff was there, everything is a race. Everything is competitive. He's going to win.
Mm-hmm. We go back. How we went to lunch one day, he said, Buddy Rowe, he said, you want to race the top of the steps? I'm thinking, I'll smoke his old ass. I took 3 steps and I ate the steps. He pulled my leg out from under me and I planted, and he went to the top and we went in. But that Tahoe, it was one of the workers, and he'd asked her, he said, hey, the key's in there. She's like, Dale, are you sure? He's like, I ain't gonna hurt it. We would leave, once we got down there, we would leave the main side, the corporate side. There was this big gate that opened, and you went back, and there was 600-700 acres Dale owned behind that wall. And he said, there's 2 deer I haven't seen this week. This lady that worked for him, we would drive through 4-wheeler trails. You could hear the paint peeling off, and he'd go back there and this buck would stand up. A spread like you couldn't believe. Excuse me. He said, there's that one I was looking for. And keep going.
Remember by the building where the trophies were and stuff? Behind that Volkswagen, that white one, I think
all the kids
white.
Learn how to drive that.
Yeah, he said that's where all the kids learned how to, before this was paved. He said they would get it so hot, they would pour water right over the hot motor, and he said it's still running.
He said that's how it'd slow him down. He said I knew the radiator leaked. Like the time Dale Jr. pulled in.
Volkswagens was air cooled.
Yeah.
Those ones.
But Dale Jr., he'd come in the shop one night, and I don't remember which racetrack it was, but he'd come in, and Dale's sitting there, and Jr. rolls in. Dale's pissed for some reason. I'm thinking, what in the hell? I couldn't figure out why he was mad. And Junior walks in, he said, Daddy, he said, I done pretty good. I got second or third or whatever. He said, there is not one tire stripe on the side of this car. He said, I raced this racetrack all these years. He said, you got to do, he said, and Junior told me, he said, well, Daddy, he said, I had to work on my own car. Boy, that pissed Dale off instant. He said, you drive the son of a bitch. He said, here I am paying for it. And he said, yeah, you got a wrench on. He said, I was stealing parts to race on mine. But that deerhead shop's where everything come in. He had a small room in the back. Remember all them Holly carburetors for the guys that
Then upstairs, there was fire suits in there. There was a satchel, like a leather, that you would carry to work. It had money in it. I mean, bunches of money. Laying right there at the thing.
That was his safe space. You would go to the deerhead shop. There was a picnic table when you went in and sat down.
Then after 5 o'clock, everyone come and had their meeting.
That's what
drink beer. And
Dale said. He said, one thing I will say, he said, Junior picked up Budweiser. There was one wall, there was cases of beer. I mean, them son of bitches had to drag beer home. It was stacked up.
Did Dale Sr. drink beer?
Oh, yeah.
Did he?
But the guys that worked for him would bring a Holly carburetor. Say you had a 650 double pumper on something you was working at home. You couldn't figure it out. That's what Dale enjoyed doing in the evenings.
he would take that apart, never look at it, be looking at you and talking to you.
And fix it.
And he's throwing everything in his parts
Remember
like
his
a
dad's
screen.
55 Chevy, when we went down there, he was raising hell. The fuel pump wasn't picking fuel up. He said, shove that rag in there. He said, pump it up so I know I got fuel to this carburetor. That was the same day Junior come in with that 69 Camaro.
Yeah.
And Dale had.
I don't know if that was his dad's, because that one there did not match the Nomad.
Still, Dale had a nasty 55 that he took out.
That Nomad had suicide doors on. They were painted the same.
And Junior comes pulling in a 69 Camaro. At the time, Junior was living across the street in like a double wide. Cars wrapped clear around it. I mean, nice cars. And Junior was partying, and Dale was not a fan.
I've heard these stories before, yeah.
And so Junior showed up like at noon. Dale was pissed about something, and we was working on that 55. He finally got it fired. He comes out. Remember when he comes?
Rick was helping him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dale gets out on, what was that, Concord Highway, 4th Highway 3.
He done it
That's what Junior
in the lot, and then he called the guys in security and told him to go raise hell. Junior telling him about his driving in here. Junior never done anything. Dale was the one that done it. And he'd take him in the car with him. Hell, he never asked me to go.
And it was nuts.
He said Miles in the car.
Yeah, he could not pronounce Miles. It definitely had a long L in it. But we'd go out, and then Junior come pulling in. I mean, a nasty 69 Camaro, disc brakes, standing tall. And Junior, he come in after Dale had showed him up in that 55, and Junior done a burnout inside DEI. And Dale said, watch this. He calls security on the radio and stops Junior on the way out, and they rip his ass. They're like, you ain't doing this again. So here's Junior just shaking his head. But yeah, it was literally being like you was at home. The things you trade back and forth.
Over the few years there after you guys met him, you went to races too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he took care of you, like pits and.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, he was under 18. I had to give him to Dale. We had to go. This lady that did the tickets. Dale always said that she was that was Dale's girlfriend. And every time you go in there and ask for that ticket, from
especially at Darlington,
he said, well, make sure you tell her. She said, yeah, Dale's always asked me out.
But we go in.
So you just have a ticket booth that Dale would tell you to go to? Or?
You would go in, the old school days at Darlington, you went in, this gate was all the drivers, this gate was the garage. So if you wanted an autograph, you stood in the middle, but that's where the ticket booth was. I had to have a special ticket assigned by somebody because I was under 18. Well, Dale had signed mine and they had rejected it. Well, I had it and they rejected it. So we get in, well, we're standing there, he puts me, we're standing there, Dad has a pass. Dale walks through, puts me in a headlock and takes me through security. And I'm thinking, hell, I ain't got nothing. So we go, and you always had a NASCAR trailer, especially at Darlington, where they set the garage was to the left, NASCAR trailer was to the right. Well, we walk in there, I walk in this trailer, and I don't know, I was probably, let's say 12 at the time. We walk in this trailer, and Bill Francis sitting there with Jeff Gordon having a meeting. Earnhardt walks in, he said, I need a pass for this boy. To Bill France. And I'm like, holy shit, you know. And he's like, Dale, you can write your own. You know, you can give pass. He said, I ain't messing with it. He said, I need a pass for him. I'm standing close, you and I, to Jeff Gordon. Gordon's sitting there, I'm like, hey man, you know, I'm kind of like, why the hell am I in here? So he signs this pass, and Dale said, here's the deal. He said, I'm gonna go out this side door. He said, everybody's gonna be waiting at the back. He said, so I'm gonna sneak out, don't you go out first. Let me get to the garage, and then you go out the actual re-enter, because these people were all over us. And I walk out of the back of this trailer like I'm a damn Kardashian or something, and they're looking like, where's Dale? And if you looked, he had climbed up the side of it and then went under the semi in the trailer. He was in the garage, no one even seen him. But yeah, it was.
So he was taking care of you. Oh. Where was you at while all this was going on?
He was in the stands, or not in the stands. He was in that deep line of people.
Yeah, I had a pass and everything to get in the garage, but I couldn't do nothing with him because he was under 18.
Yeah.
And so he had to be assigned to the hauler.
You know, it's just like the time things were tough around here, a few personal issues, and we had reached out to Dale, and we go down and visit with my Uncle Jeff. And we go down, and it was actually the same weekend as Darlington. And we're down there, we talk, and we were there for damn near most of the week. My Uncle Jeff, how he worked out with the crew guys. They even let him be a jack man, climbing the wall. It was a huge experience for all of us. And Dale said, I got to roll. Well, me and Jeff were ate up with fishing. And Dale said, so Santee Cooper isn't far from where we were at. And we go down there, and Dale said, if you catch any stripers, and he set us
Dale
up with.
Dale called down there. It was his relation that did it, and they kept hanging up on him.
They didn't believe it was him.
Yeah, they did. They thought. He said, hey, this is Earnhardt. And as soon as he get Earnhardt out, the phone went dead. Then when they finally did answer it, he said, what the hell? He said, I can't even use a goddamn phone anymore. So we go down there. Well, what the hell am I doing going fishing?
Dad loves fishing.
I don't want, it's colder than a bitch out there. And it looks like you're out in a swamp, man. Them tree stumps up out of there. I could just see the water moccasins and all this shit out there. I pulled that pistol. I had that 9mm. I pulled that out. I said, you probably ought to need to keep them son of a bitches out of here. You're going to have some.
That guy said, they were telling us about the water moccasins. And they said, they're aggressive snakes, whatever. They'll come in the boat, they'll leave. Well, Dad's in the back of the boat smoking cigarettes. Not a care in the world. And he said, cowboy, he said, that son of a bitch gets in here, he said, you're going to have 5 holes in the bottom real quick. And that guy said, you got a gun? I mean, these people think, like, if Dale called and made reservations, like, these people have money. Like, they're really
they
something.
thought we had money. We didn't have shit.
They met Kingston. They said, you got a gun? Dad said, I'm telling you. He said, if there's a snake gets in this boat, he said, you better be close to the bank. And so, I mean, that whole trip, Dad would sit back here. My Uncle Jeff was ate up. They had, clickers on the reel. Dad would sit back here. He'd take a drag off a cigarette, then yank the line. Jeff thought he had a fish.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they go pulling like a son bitch on him.
He would dick with everybody on the boat. And
that's the most miserable day I spent in my life.
But we took all the stripers back, and the guy who done it, there was a guy on the bank that done all the flaying, and Earnhardt said, make sure you bring them in Darlington. And I'm gonna tell you, if you want to take a cooler full of damn
with nails down through it,
with stripers into the infield, good luck. And then every son of a bitch that was there, I said, these are for Earnhardt. They said, yeah, I got a, you know what? And I'm like, literally. So we had to go through all these. Look at his pass.
It's right his hauler.
So we had to go through all these checkpoints for this cooler because you can't bring beer and stuff in there. And it was just fish fillets of stripers. Mm-hmm. Well, we finally, after all the bullshit, we make it in there. And Dale's like, how'd it go? He was checking on all us. Well, Jimbo, this guy we talked about earlier, excuse me, he was pissed. And I don't know if you know much about Detroit. They are the slobberingest motor in the world. Jimbo had a Detroit in the back of this motorhome that was polished. And it was as clean as his hair. This guy, so for him frying fish, or not frying fish, but cooking fish in this, $150,000, $200,000 at the time, Prevost motorhome.
Yeah, Jimbo told him he wasn't cooking them in there.
He was pissed. But
Dale said what?
I was scared to death because I'm like, I know we had it on ice. I know we had all, because he ate that shit Sunday. I'm like, what's going to do if he gets sick? Like it's 100% on us. But I mean, he hooked us up with them guys, and it was like, it was just crazy. It'd be like me calling you, hey, Philo, if you're down at wherever, bring me back something. Dale sends us on this trip, says bring it to the biggest event of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mountain Dew Southern 500.
But it's just crazy how much he was like us, at the end of the day.
Well, one of the favorite stories you've always told me over the years is the one with Brooks and Dunn. Please tell that story.
So I'll start it off and I'll let Dad put the crash on it. So we're sitting there at Earnhardt's shop, and at this point we're comfortable there. Like we can hang out. We know all the people. We can go where we want. And if we want to go farm that day, we can go farm. If we want to go do whatever. And we're sitting there, and Dale says, hey, he said, if you would, he said, go back there. He said, you got any good clothes? We're like, well, we got. And we knew Dale would been wearing black on black Wranglers. I mean, hell, we was wearing Wrangler welding shirts like Dad's got on. Life's good. And he said, go back. He said, we're going to go get something. We're going to do something tonight. So Dale had left. We were hanging out, and Jimbo comes rolling up. And he had a Corvette, which Jimbo lived just right up the road from DEI. And he said, he come pulling in. Obviously, he was one of the crew. And he said, he's like, sound like you guys are going to have a good night. I'm like, yeah. And Dad said, Dale won't tell me what it is. He said, Jimbo, give it to me. And he said, John, I can't tell you. He said, come on. He said, God damn it. He said, I don't like surprises. He said, well, I'm going to let you in a little secret. He said, you guys, which at the time, if you remember, Earnhardt was in one of Kix and Ronnie's videos as like a stunt man. And it was funny because they looked like twins. Mm-hmm. So we go, Dale had to sign some legal papers with Kix and Ronnie, and we were going to go to dinner with them. So we're sitting there, Jimbo, he leads us up, and he's like, you guys are going to hop on that jet blow out there, eat, come back. He said, it's going to be a blast. Dad said, I ain't getting on that plane.
Dale said, it ain't going to be bad if it's worse than drinking. He said, it's on that bar. He said, hell, pop you
Well, that
another
was
one
after
of them.
the fact. We hadn't drove there yet.
Pop
we
you
run
one of them
back-
blue pills. He said, it'll work. I'll wake you up.
We go back to the hotel, throw on the best clothes we had. We come back and meet Dale, and he said, all right, follow me. Dad said, God damn it. He said, I don't like, tell me what's going on. He said, I'll tell you when we get there. So we pull out DEI and we're going. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat just riding, I'm watching, the light's red, Dale blows it. Dad's nutted up, so he blows it too. And I'm thinking, what in the hell? We ain't in a race. So we finally, we blow numerous red lights and people's pissed off, and we pull up, and here's a runway and a hangar. And I'm thinking, what in the hell? Which this would have been in 2000. And
Or longer.
he passed in 01, but I'm sitting there and we pull up and Dad's sitting there and he said, I ain't going. Dale gets out and he said, these guys are all, retired Marine vets. These guys are all in the service. They were in plain clothes, all the pilots. He said, every plane only needs 2 pilots, but I got 3. And so we go in and Dad, after a long talk, Dad gets in the plane and he said, John, he said, go in and find a seat. You can have any seat in there. He said, if it's worth drinking, it's on the bar. He said, you won't even remember the trip. So we meet the pilots and Dad goes in and walks around. Well, Dale leaves Dad and he comes out to me and he said, we're sitting there looking. And he said, Miles, he said, your daddy ain't gonna fly. I said, nope. He said, he ain't going to. He said, you're more welcome to go, but he said, I know you ain't gonna leave your daddy. I said, no. I said, if he stays, I'm staying. He said, talk him into it. It's gonna be worth it. He said, we gotta bounce down. I don't remember where we were flying to sign the paper.
He said, we get up, we'll be coming back down. We won't be up long.
And we went back and forth, and Dad, I climb in this Learjet and I look, and man, it is beautiful.
Well, I bet.
It has every option you can think of in this big bar, and it was in a big U.
All the chairs had the DEI logo sewn in them. I think the chairs were gray.
So I'm sitting there watching. Dad would stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. I thought, what in the hell is he doing? So they get talking back and forth, and Dale said, he said, John, what do you think? He said, Dale, I've sat in every one of these seats. He said, I can still see that goddamn big door handle locks me in here. He said, we ain't going. And
I ain't going, yeah.
I sat there. I was so mad. I mean, there's pictures somewhere. I don't know if they're in this. I took probably 200 of this thing going off the runway, knowing that we could have met, Brooks and Dunn, which would have been, let alone go to dinner with him. But he said, John, he said, when we land, he said, there's a car waiting for us. We don't have to see no people. We don't have to go nowhere. He said, the restaurant where we're going is going to be closed. We're going to be escorted in. He said, you'll be in bed by 10 o'clock. Dad's sitting there smoking a cigarette. He said, Dale, he said, I'll probably be in bed by 9.
I can see him saying that.
Yeah. And I sat there. This is how bad he felt afterward. He took me fishing.
And he hates fishing.
And he hates fishing.
They was taking us around the farm down there, talking about fishing. And they all got the biggest kick. Taylor's was driving the van, same night. Mm-hmm. He said, and every place had a barrel.
Oh, yeah, well, that Dockland.
Yeah, he said, hey, John, he said, I ain't fed them fish yet tonight.
That's what's good. He baited him up.
He said, you lift that lid up on there. He said, just take a scoop full of that, throw that out there in the water, wouldn't you, and just come on back.
He was on a floating dock.
Yeah, with barrels underneath the sumbitch.
We were all on the bank.
Jesus Christ. I threw that shit in there, and I mean, the water erupted.
Hey,
Them barrels is going everywhere. I'm damn near going in the water.
you want to talk about the oh shit shuffle? He come on the bank. I don't like water. He don't like it any more than I do. Dad threw that shit out there. It was like a piranhas.
Yeah, I mean, they were.
Dad run off that dock so fast. Dale laughed his ass off. He said, I knew we'd get him. Because when he told Dad to do it, Dad thought he was doing him a favor.
He was trickery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd burn your ass. If you wasn't paying attention, he'd smoke you real
That's
quick.
the best thing they did at the races, find out what rental car you got. You don't never get a rental car in your name.
Yeah, it was on. And that was constant. Whatever you did, you know, and that was, I mean, we're all competitive. But I will promise you, he was the most competitive person I ever met. Anything we do, I mean, he was always riding my ass. Like, I will do this. I'm like, yeah, I'll smoke him on that. He would, I mean, knock the legs out on you. Whatever it took to get in that top stair before you did, it was on.
But the family thing that he wanted out of DEI was you to eat there, you know, come there to work. We all eat together and we all work together. I mean, there was a line for regular food, and then there was a line for people that ate fruit and shit like that, you know, for down there.
That first day we went up there and set this table, Jeremy, I'm not kidding you.
Remember when Teresa sat there and he just won the race before it's playing on all the TVs and stuff? And Teresa came to dinner with us that day.
That's when they had that kale shit or whatever it was. There's a table, you know, this shop's probably 40 foot across. That table is probably that long. Excuse me, and we're sitting there and they bring us food out. And here I am, I'm thinking, I'm like, how the hell do you eat with these, you know, they're all being elegant. I'm ready to just mow it down. And they bring this out and it's like, what in the hell is this? So I didn't say it, I was being nice, just taking little bites. Dale sat there and he goes, why are we eating this shit? He sent the rest of us back just to go through the a la carte line. Teresa had made this meal that nobody was up there going to eat. You know, so you see this whole room of people. It was very comical to see. It just comes back to he is one of us, you know.
And he wanted to make sure that, you know, his family was together.
And that's what he wanted to eat. The guys on the shop floor, I'll never forget walking through when DEI was rocking. So I felt like a dipshit that day. We walked in, so all these people could come and visit DEI and see all this glass. Well, in the showroom was different things. Well, that tractor that we had overhauled or redone was in there. Dale could never figure out how to fire it. And these old 2-cylinders have the petcocks on the side, and you turn them over. They're not that hard to start, but if the petcocks are closed, you're not going to start them.
He'd always ask me, he said, how strong are you?
Dale could turn that son of a bitch. He had the strongest hands I ever seen. He would break these men down just by shaking their hand, and he never believed. He'd give Dad hell. He said, how strong are you? He said, you can't be that strong. Well, my job as a kid, I had to go open number 2 petcock. Dad, he said, Boot, you good? I said, yeah.
Remember when Muggs drove by on the fork truck and yelled at him, show him how you started, Dale. I'll get the rope.
He'd pull it with the forklift because Dale never opened the petcocks. I mean, hell, you're firing an engine with 100% deadhead. But he was strong enough.
He could whirl. It just wasn't enough.
He could do it with the petcocks closed. We would go out there and we'd open them up. You know, you always full choke, fire it once, close the choke, and it's running. We're in the middle of, the cathedral, like marble floors, whatever. Well, that's when he told us it was granite.
Yeah, I told him, I said, that gas is going to blow all over that tile floor. He said, that ain't tile. That's granite.
And we're in this showroom. These people,
We got somebody who'll clean it up.
these people are taking pictures of us starting a 2-cylinder in the middle of this. I mean, I'm like, Dale,
And
what
it's
the hell?
banging off the.
Yeah, they had to turn smoke detectors off because the one time we evacuated the building. But yeah, I mean, it always set in there. But you would, I guess that's where I was going with this. You would go from that part and you'd walk right into the engine shop. Dale would walk through and them guys like, what's going on, man? It wasn't starstruck. It wasn't anything. It was, and he's like, hey, how them 377 rear ends turn out? He's like, well, we changed the shims. I mean, he was still involved.
I mean,
with everything.
He knew what everybody was doing at all times.
But they all respected, he was one of their friends.
Yeah. We good on batteries? Mm-hmm. You good on beer? Pea break, anything?
We're close. You need one?
Yeah, I can take one. We've kind of went through the race days you guys spent with Dale. You got to know him really, really well, and it's so cool. But didn't you do some farming and stuff with him?
Yeah, Dale was intrigued. Up here, we use tractors that have a land side dual and the furry side a single wheel to ride in the furry, and the furry wheel's always got a lot more weight on it. Mm-hmm. And the plow's a semi-mounted plow. It's got a wheel on the back, lifts up the front, and then you raise the cylinder for the back. And he would always say that he wanted one of them 3-wheel tractors. I said, it has 4 wheels. I said, those are duals. He said, well, I don't care what they're called, but that's what I want. But he had a fully mounted plow. And he kept saying how hard it was on the ends. He had turned on the ends with the plow down in the ground. And he said, it don't lift like yours. I said, does it have a wheel on the back? And see, I was on a Sunday, and I was leaving work on second trick. And that way I'd be there by daybreak. He wasn't shitting. I said, you'll need your dozer out there before that sun bakes that. But there's a,
Well, the same day we would go down and drive down, and he would leave a tractor parked, and we would work ground all night. I mean, literally drive from Kingston to Mooresville, get there, Dad would work trick work. We would pull in, there'd be a tractor hooked up. It would be like you called me last week and said, Philo, I got a skid steer down there with snowplow. I'll see you tomorrow. No big deal. We would tell Dale we would come, and there would be a tractor setting. We'd drive in, park. We knew which farm it was. Get out, work around all night. And
he bought the farm behind that. There's a road that went in behind his farm, original farm, and he bought that farm back there. And then where the booth shop is, there on the corner, if you were coming from the south, the booth shop is and then it turned into the truck shop. Mm-hmm. And then you ran into DEI, up the road. Well, there was multi-floor rows in there, and you could see all the people, like it was race weekend, you could see all the people, driving up down the road and shit. You'd be right there in a tractor, or he would be. But he was hell on a dozer, man. He loved tearing shit up with the dozer.
the chicken barn was probably, that was nasty.
Yeah, 10,000 of them in there.
Had 2 barns.
3.
Saw some pictures.
There was 3.
You'd walk in, so you go in, the ammonia smell, which I got a weak stomach anyways. I made it in the door, turned right, seen the chickens, and I thought, that's enough for me.
And they were for Purdue. The eggs were a boy by the name of Israel, and his family had built houses over there. That's clear on the other side of the farm in the back. And I don't know what the nationality is, but anyway, his whole family they came over there, and they took care of all that. One barn had to be sanitized and ready to move them to at all times. Then there's 2 barns. There's like 10,000 of them son bitches in each building.
Wow.
And the Black Angus cattle
Oh, they were beautiful.
were probably the slickest cattle. I know it's going to be hard to beat, but I think they were almost Jones cattle.
Oh boy.
So that he was in with the Earnhardts, but
I don't know if that bull's name was Prince. Was that the name of it?
no, that was our bull.
Anyway, there's no loading chute. And it's in high tensile fence. That's it. I mean, other than
This son of a bitch weighed 3,000 pounds.
the
man.
chain fence around the whole farm. But where the bull was, I said, how do you keep it in that high tensile fence and get it loaded? He said, hell, we don't have no trouble loading him. He knows where he's going. I said, are you shitting me?
And legit, being around bulls, Dale, we were sitting there one day just dicking around on a Tuesday afternoon. He said, we're going to load him up. I still don't remember his name. Leroy was the horse. And that son of a bitch was immaculate. I don't remember that bull's name, but we backed up there, threw the trailer out. And that's why I say, I mean, Dale had employees, but he was out there doing it. He threw that gate open. I'm thinking, you dumbass. That son of a bitch. He'd get in behind there, holler a couple times, somebody's go right in that trailer. And anybody that's messing with bulls, that is not, the norm. Hell, he jumped right in and life was good. But the whole, I mean, anything on that farm he was on, like talking about the dozer, and there's an interview I've watched numerous times. I don't remember who the guy was.
That he kept trying to get.
He was dropping trees getting this guy. He said, watch this, and drop an oak tree that was a monster. Dale had an old D9, old hand stick D9, and lay him right over there. And just laugh, watching them cameramen running. I mean,
He threw him off the back of the boat.
he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Probably the
But those were the only ones, the one that went off the back of the boat, I believe that, Dale was loyal to them. Those was the only people that he would interview with. And that guy brought his son to the 500 that he won. Dale never forgotten anything. I mean, he was...
And if you meant
right on
something to him, he respected you and what you were worth. And if I called him, I said, hey, me and Maverick's coming down. He had enough loyalty to us to have enough respect both ways, knowing that I wouldn't put somebody else, bring somebody else down. Like when we took my Uncle Jeff down, he was almost pissed that we asked a question.
Yeah, he gave Jeff a gym card to get in the gym.
He had full access.
Yeah, Jeff said, I don't lift weights. And then I turned around and asked him, I said, hell, why didn't you offer me one of them son bitches? Hell, he said, you ain't seen a weight room in years.
And he would burn your ass. But it was, as far as loyalty, as far as anything you put it, you couldn't ask for a better role model, idol, however you know.
Man, could you imagine where your friendship would be with him today if he?
It would be
He
crazy.
didn't pass.
So the year that he died, and it's crazy, he died February 18th. My birthday's the 19th. So obviously I didn't have a birthday that year. But the year that he had passed, we had more things scheduled than any other year. Because we had got to the point, he knew Dad's schedule. I was getting older, and he's like, Mom, what do you want to get into? And it was hunting, whatever. I mean, everything changed, February 18th, 2001. But that was when we were both, not to say that he was ever going to retire, but he had made his day, and we had made more memories or more plans that year than we'd ever had in the past, future plans.
Yeah. Well, I've always heard the story that he was going to come up here and do some hunting next year.
That was the game plan afterwards. So we had talked, his hunting down there was phenomenal. And I'm not going to go into detail of why it was phenomenal, but there was a lot more opportunities. But there's a lot of big bucks up here. He wanted to come up here, which we know a lot of farmers, and we'd already put the word out, and let alone the home place of, hey, roll in, stay with one of us. And there's a lot of rumors in the community that, oh, he was here and he was this, and we always just laugh like, yeah, you know, and I've heard the story 100 times. Yeah, he was here. He was in a black Tahoe. Well, my mom had a black Tahoe at the time, but Dale was never in Kingston, Ohio. But the year he passed, that's when we had the most plans for the future. But unfortunately, never got to see him.
I mean, and kind of wrapping this story up, it's been a heck of a story. The people watching or listening, I know they're just astounded to hear this. It's a feel-good story. I mean, we all have idols. We all look up to people, and it's just really, really cool to finally.
It was all a dream.
Yeah.
And you pursued your dream, and you know, if you want it bad enough, I reckon
a lot of things had to fall in place, and they did. And the gumption.
Yeah, the good Lord,
But to start, I guess, on that, when we first tried, you were denied.
Yeah, they had no idea what I was even talking about. I don't even know if they knew the farm.
But before John Harris, I still think John Harris was the key point.
He was the MVP.
No.
Well, what was the first farm manager? I can't remember his name.
John was there, but when me and Mom was over to
But the other
Newton,
cat's name that laughed in
we
your
had talked
face.
about it. Him and I had talked about it at the signing. It was probably 100 and some degrees that day.
But
we
still,
went to the.
It comes back to.
No, I talked to Dale about it that day.
Yeah, but John Harris was the one that pushed it.
Well, I will say, like at those signings, he's probably getting stories after story.
Yeah, but he didn't forget this one.
Yeah.
Because when I talked to John Harris, he knew exactly what.
Which John Harris was the main.
And John was an awful good boy. His daddy was a good man. But I took, Babe stood in line. This line was as far as the eye could see, going through the parking lot at DEI or at his Chevrolet dealership. Mm-hmm. I found the collar of the VIP passes down in the paint room. That's down over the hill. It's in a different building. And they had tape down there like that. Well, I just made it, put it in my pocket.
The whole bullshitting.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got thrown out of every door. They couldn't get to me quick enough. I got thrown out of every door, and there's poor old Babe back here in that heat, hotter than hell. And I was standing right there when Earnhardt got out of his car. And
The gift of gab.
yeah, and they, I'll never forget it. He took off running. There's two things that happened that day. Actually, three. And this defines the man that he is. He looked out in that parking lot, and like I say, the line was forever. There was a old gentleman there, 80s, 90s, have a World War II Army uniform on. Had his full dress uniform on, going to stand in that line that was from here to hell. Mm-hmm. Boy, Dale jumped up out of that chair, ran over to one of them side doors. He said, "Hey, young man," and that guy never said. Dale went out there and got him. He said, you need to come on in here in the air conditioning. He said, "No, sir, Mr. Earnhardt." He said, "I'll go right down there with those other people. They've been waiting on you too." Mm-hmm. He said, nah. He said, "Come on in here and sit with old Dale in this air conditioning." And he brought him right in there, had him sit down. and they were taken care of. And then there was, I'll never forget, there was one of his cars in there.
An autistic girl.
Yeah, and this little girl, she had, instead of like a baby carriage, it was a baby carriage, but like a hammock thing, where she kind of laid back in it. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to get in his car. He said, honey, he said, you know, Dale don't mind, Dale can get in it. And he said, I can get you right in it. He said, but, you know, let's talk to your folks. And they were sitting there, and he said, I don't know if she can get, you know, he said, I can lift her the whole way. That's not the problem. Is she going to be all right or get hurt or anything? No, she wants to sit in there so bad. He said, well, we'll make that happen. He put her in there, and he went over and jumped in the other side and asked her how she liked it.
and here's it. Everybody's waiting.
Yeah.
And Dale said, they'll be there when I get back. He spent more time with that little girl.
There's like thousands of people ever. I mean, this line snakes down through all them cars and stuff. And then finally, Babe makes it up around the corner. There's these two old women, I'll never forget them. It said like to have one thing signed or something like that. And those two older ladies went up there, and Dale said, you know what? He said, I think that is the first T-shirt that I ever had. She said it is.
Wow.
And she said, why do you think I've came down here every year? He said, well, I haven't seen that shirt on you every year. She said, well, you weren't paying attention then. And she asked him if he would sign that. And she had 2 grandsons or whatever, but she only had, you know, 1 car to sign. She said, that's what the sign said. He said, do you have anything else, you know, that you want me to sign or anything? She said, no, because it just said 1. And he said, well, what about that shirt? She said, oh, you can sign that, but you're over there. I can't get over there. He said, turn around, honey. He said, Dale get right up on that table and do it. He wrote it clear across the back of that shirt. Both of those old ladies, they were just as cute as could be. And there was a pregnant girl, and like I say, it was hot, and a little infant baby. And there's air conditioning right before you went in to Dale. And those old ladies told that girl, she said, now you take that baby up there in there, and when we get up there, you come right back out here. We know where you're supposed to be. And finally they talked her into it, and she stepped out of line. She went and must have got nervous and came back, and that one older lady said, now honey, we've already told you where to go. And your spot, no one's going to take your spot. Sure enough, you know, when they come around there, nobody said a word. They come out, and she had a little baby still in air conditioning. But it was great, man. As soon as them guys busted me the first time with that piece of tape in my pocket, well, I was a live game in, boy. I never got to stay very long.
Or earlier you'd said that there was 2 guys that Dale told you to contact if something ever happened. So when it happened, let's talk about the tractor. Did you guys get the tractor back?
No, I believe I'm going to write Teresa because, like I said, those was his exact words of, you know, hoping that gun would, you know, satisfy me until I brought my tractor back home. Mm-hmm. He said, because, you know, of all the pictures of that tractor, he said, I always seen your children in it. Yeah. He said, so if I'm not here, I can't enjoy it. So it needs to go back to you. And that's what we have to agree upon. And then he told me that gun. He said, I hope that pacifies you till you get your tractor back. And there was never another, you know, word spoken, you know, about that. We'd start it up for him. He'd drive it. And then old Muggs, he must have been 65, 70 years old. And I believe the other man that worked on his cars and, kept him running his private collection cars. Like Miles was talking about that 55 or whatever. I don't know if these were 57, and then it had a Nomad. It had them suicide doors. They were painted the same color. But yeah, he loved that tractor, but
I still like Darrell Waltrip. There's an interview out there somewhere, and I remember our phones blowing clear up. DW was announcing a race, and he was going on about all Dale's shit that they had turned on, his boats and whatever. He said, I was down there, and he said, he's got an old Johnny Popper down there. He said, that's probably the coolest thing he's got out of all that stuff. And man, our phone started just ringing. They said, hey, he said, DW is talking about Earnhardt's, 2-cylinder. I guess, the conclusion is you sit back and look, you take one man's dream and turns into a family of, I remember me and my sister, we saved Dale gave us a Sundrop can. I don't remember what mine was. Amanda had Sundrop, but handed us up out of that deer head shop. And you couldn't drink like Diet Mountain Dew or whatever. You had to take it out of this can, pour it in a Sundrop can. Yeah, you couldn't get busted drinking it. But,
Sponsorship thing.
Right.
Yeah. But we would sit there and to think I was as close as you and I right now to a legend that people would just, let alone touch him. And to me, I consider him a friend. And it was crazy. The whole experience from when we went down and went 4 deep in a truck and listened to my sister bitch the whole time because we were sitting on top of each other. You got to think. Poor babe's got both of them. Yeah. And you got to think. And they never had anything packed. They never, she laughed at me. She said, oh. We got woke up in the middle of the night, in which, hell, I didn't care. Clean pair of underwear, we was on the road, but there was 4 of us. And you got to think, 96, I was 11. Mildred's, we're not small. Jammed in a straight cab pickup, driving to Mooresville. And in the middle of the night, and the next day,
Corn trailer, Daddy John's sick.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and I'm telling you,
and that fog. I'd never been through the mountains.
And you wasn't allowed talking. You wasn't allowed nothing. We sat there.
GPS back then.
Hell no, we didn't have nothing. We rode like this. No seatbelts. I look back and think, how the hell didn't we get pulled over? But and at the time there was only one motel in Mooresville. It was a Days Inn, right off Mooresville exit.
And I'm glad you brought that up because
before you went to Cottle Creek Highway.
Dale would always say, "Where you at?" If he didn't like it, you were somewhere else.
Oh.
But we rolled in. I'm telling you, no sleep. Could you imagine? I know you got a fleet of boys. I got a fleet of girls now. There is no way in hell I would take a road trip in a day cab pickup. And to drive that far, but to pull in, the next thing you know.
It paid off. Look at
yes, 100%.
About today. We're touching everything, but
it meant the world to me because
hell to all of us.
It got me out of the shop and got me living again.
Okay.
This was all a dream, and so many people said you're full of shit. You never won. I said, yeah, I did.
But it comes back to that same tractor. I guess we didn't talk about that aspect. The tractor itself came home, the whole tractor, in the bed of an 82 Chevy pickup. And everybody in Kingston laughed.
Yeah.
And Dad still drank at the time. And I always loved hearing the story of, obviously you don't know much about a 2-cylinder, but you take one, they're not hard, but they are hard.
I found every part.
He gets it running, and everyone in Kingston's laughing. Like, John, there ain't no way in hell you're going to get some bitch running.
Some bitch only run on 1 cylinder, but it's good enough.
He gets it running on one cylinder one night and drives around Kingston and throws beer cans in everybody's yard and laughed at him. You know what I mean? And then
some bitch is banging and booming, and I mean,
this
terrible.
same tractor here lands at Dale Earnhardt's. You know what I mean? Like, if you could take a guy and you're going to give him hell on, laughing at him, that the whole tractor is in the bed of a pickup and you're going to get it running. And they laugh at you then. And you take that tractor and you turn it into something that's delivered to Dale Earnhardt, that's kind of turned into, I'm not going to say a legacy, but a hell of a friendship.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That's right.
I mean, it's a crazy, what are the odds of that story?
And that is the story. That's been a heck of a story. And guys, that's the story of how a family from Kingston, Ohio, got to become friends with a legend, one of the best NASCAR drivers of all time. Miles and John Wright, thanks for having me out here today, and really enjoyed the story.
You're welcome, Jay.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad we could nail this down, and hopefully this story will be around forever.
We're here.